Welcome back to another episode of Teachable Life Moments with Keeler Bryson. Did you have a good weekend? Did you get some things done that you needed to get done on your couple of days off? Did you get a chance to get some rest and relaxation, some rejuvenation? Were you able to get yourself set up for this new and exciting week? Spring came in officially over the weekend, and you know what that means. At least for me, it means more outdoor activities such as hanging out on the deck or either taking a bike ride, going walking, going to the river or lake, just kind of hanging out. So I'm just excited about spring officially coming in because the temperatures are usually mild, and so you're able to hang out without being, sweaty and without just being hot. I don't like to be in a super hot situation. I mean, I'm a tough girl. I can bear it if I have to, but if I have a choice, I want to be where there's some cool and mild weather. So it's that time again. It's that time for me to come before you and present something to you that hopefully will strengthen your life in some way. It is my desire that the content that comes forth from the Teachable Life Moments with Keeler Bryson podcast is, content that will help move your life forward in some way, in some form, or in some fashion. We are not an island, and it takes the help of us, one another, helping each other through situations. And so I have been around on this planet for a while, and I do feel that my experiences can be beneficial to folks. I feel that the way God has gifted me and wired me can be beneficial to people, because if something I say can help prevent you from experiencing some sort of, challenging situation, then that's what I'm here for. I'm here for it. And so that is my desire, is to be a help and to give back in some way through these podcasts with the wisdom, knowledge, and experiences that God has allowed me to be graced with. All right. What I want to talk about today, I want to talk about resisting the temptation to complain. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, there is an epidemic going on out here of people complaining. You may be one of those people who complains. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the most or the worst or the more frequent number, how would you rate yourself? Are you a 5 when it comes to complaining? Are you a 9? Or would you be a 10? Be honest. Think about it. Do you complain a lot? Or do you complain a little bit? Whether you complain a little bit or a lot, there's a problem. There is a danger in being a complainer. Now, I'm not saying that you should never complain about anything. Nope, that's not what I'm saying. There is a difference between a legitimate complaint versus one that is like an unthankful or being ungrateful type of complaint. That's the type of complaining that I'm talking about, the ungrateful type. What is complaining? Let's talk about that. Let's first define it. I know most of us probably have a general idea of what it is because we do it or we have listened to people do it. And complaining is basically when we express dissatisfaction about something, or we find fault in something. And it's usually from a place of which we don't realize it at the time. We're basically being ungrateful. we're being unthankful, because a lot of the times the thing that we are complaining about is something that we once prayed about, and now that we have it, we're complaining about it. And then not realizing that there are a lot of people who wish they had the very thing that we are complaining about. And so when we find ourselves complaining, the danger in it is that it creates a situation, it sets a certain motion in action that is harmful. It's harmful to us as the complainer, and it's harmful to those around us that are listening to us complain. Now, I want to ask you a question. What is the thing you have been complaining about within the last, 36 hours? What is the thing you have been complaining about within the last week? The last month? The last 6 months? Because a lot of times you'll realize when you think about it, you can find yourself complaining about the same thing. You have been complaining about the same thing for 6 months, a year, 3 years. Oh my goodness, 3 years. You're still complaining about it. You're still expressing dissatisfaction. You're still you're finding fault, excuse me, in the thing that you currently possess, but it's something about it that's causing you dissatisfaction. One thing I want to say right here is that a lot of times we have the thing that we prayed about, and then we get it, and then we find ourselves complaining. What I want to say about that is that when we are praying for things, we need to start counting up the cost of what it will cost us to possess that thing that we are praying about. For example, if you are praying for a successful business, what is the cost of that? A lot of times we don't analyze or assess what it's going to require of us. First of all, to become a successful business owner, who do I have to become? Because I certainly can't be the person that I am currently and be successful. To be a successful business owner, I have got to change in some way. I have got to develop in some way, because if it's something I haven't done before, then I don't have maybe all the knowledge, the business savvy, the wisdom, the patience, the tenacity, the passion, the boldness, assertiveness, all of that. Just the capacity, energy-wise, because I'm here to tell you, there are times when you may be up working 19 hours straight, and I'm a witness. I can be in here to the next day. Oh my goodness. But it's okay, because I love what I do, and it's something that I truly enjoy doing, and it actually gives me energy. But I had to become a different person. You definitely can't be a person of excuses. You can't be a person of doubt. I had to change and develop in the areas where I was not up to the mark. So I'm asking you, who do you have to become in order to possess the thing you've prayed about? You have some things on your list right now that you're praying about. And my question to you is, have you counted up the cost? Because if you have not counted up the cost, you're going to be complaining about it when God give it to you. And that's an insult. That is not being grateful or thankful, or just showing basically that you resent the thing that was granted to you. And we don't want to be that person. I want to talk to you on how to be the type of person that prevails in any situation, and become a person that just understands that when we are given certain blessings and prayer requests have been answered, there is a responsibility on our part to be able to manage that and all of the demands that come with possessing that thing that we was praying about. So again, to complain is to express dissatisfaction and to find fault. And a lot of people are experts at that. A lot of people have earned a PhD in complaining. And we don't want to be that type of person. In Exodus, the 16th chapter, when you get a chance, go and read it if you're not already familiar with that passage of scripture. The children of Israel were coming out of Egypt and they started to complain. And when they started to complain, God was upset with them eventually because they was basically not being thankful. They should have been thankful for coming out of bondage, but they was finding fault in it, complaining about the food and wanted to go back. And it was just terrible. Don't be that type of person, because a lot of times God is bringing us to a higher place, a better place. But a lot of times it may be some discomfort along the way, but if you could just hang in there and weather that out, weather through the discomfort, you will be in a better place. So here are a few things that I want you to keep in mind when you complain. First of all, how do you feel when you complain? Complaining usually leads to anger, bitterness, and depression. Can you bear witness to that? When you complain, you became angry, bitter, depressed, and eventually it takes a heavy toll on your spirit, on your energy. And then if you do it, a lot, people will begin to shun and avoid you because of the negativity. Complaining is a negative vibe, and people can feel that vibe, and they don't want it to impact them, because complaining is draining. Complaining, it takes energy away from today, and it never solves the problem for tomorrow. That's the first thing that I want you to realize about complaining. It's draining, and it only takes away energy from today, and it never solves the problem for tomorrow. And you can bear witness with that. You hear people just complain, and you find some people complain about the same thing. They can do it straight for 6 months, complaining about the same thing. And it's draining. It's so draining until people will begin to shun and avoid because they don't want to hear it. And at the same time, they won't have an answer to the problem. They don't really research or brainstorm on how they can solve the problem. It's almost like they get pleasure in just complaining. So remember, that's the first thing. Complaining is draining. You don't want to drain yourself. You don't want to be draining other people. And when you do that, people are going to run from you, or they may become angry with you and just start being blunt with you about, like, okay, when you going to do something about it? You've been talking about this forever. When are you going to do something about it? And then next thing you know, you're upset because they have an attitude with you. Well, you have drained them. Okay, so that's the first thing. Remember, it's draining. And remember, when you do it and you having other people listening to you, remember, you are draining not only yourself, you are draining them, because complaining is a negative energy. The second thing I want you to remember about complaining is to never waste a second of your life doing it, if you can train yourself to do so. Complaining, like I said, it doesn't solve problems. In fact, you know what it does? It attracts them. It just brings more of that negative energy. And next thing you know, that complaining ball is growing bigger and bigger and bigger. The more you complain, the more problems you're going to have. And then not only are you going to have more problems, the more you're going to infect other people with your problems. Don't be an infection. You want to be a cure. Are you going around infecting people with your complaining? A lot of times we see it in the workplace where one person will start complaining, talking about the job. Then the next thing you know, the people that's listening, they have joined in, they done got infected with it. And then next thing you know, everybody worked up. And then they done really got worked up and got bold, making it obvious that they dissatisfied. They may just stand there and say, I'm not doing another thing. Or they begin to, express their dissatisfaction in the language that they use. And that one person got that infection going. And you don't want to be that person. So don't waste your time on it, because you're just going to create more of those problems. You're setting in motion for problems to arise. Your supervisor going to get upset, or whomever. And next thing you know, the supervisor might want to write you up or whatever. But you started it just by complaining. The next thing I want you to realize about complaining is that complaining is not a strategy. It is not a strategy. I know it may feel like it when we're doing it, and sometimes it may make us feel good to complain for a few minutes until that negativity kicks in, and next thing you know, you're feeling bad. But remember, it's not a strategy. And at the end of the day, isn't that what you are after? A solution? That's what you should focus on. That's what your energy and your thoughts should be focused on, is the strategy. The next thing I want you to remember is about complaining is to stop it and do something. Okay, since it's not a strategy, that lets us know that you need to get a strategy. Stop complaining and do something. Do something other than complain. Come up with a plan. Come up with a strategy. Come up with some ideas. Come up with some alternatives, okay? The next step is be thankful and stop complaining. Be thankful. Thankful. You know, the children of Israel, that's what angered God about them, is that they were not thankful. You know, have you ever seen a kid, you know, was given something and they just whining and crying and still want more? And oh my goodness, as a parent, that really will burn you up. And so even if you're not a parent, if you witness it, sometimes, you know, even if you, let's say you're in Kroger somewhere and you see a child acting unthankful or what have you, it will burn you up, and you're not the parent of that child. So you can imagine how God must have felt when here he is, did this miraculous move, defied gravity, defied the odds, bringing them out, and then they get their little selves down there and start complaining. You know, think about it. God had just done a miraculous thing before their eyes, and they were complaining. At that point, it seemed like they should have been saying, okay, I don't have to worry about anything, because if God can do that, then I don't have the power, you know, or the wherewithal, or to complain. That would be indecent to do that after seeing that great move of God of bringing them out of Egypt. So be thankful, and then just stop. Because when we complain like that, what it does, it lets people, let me see, where is my other point at in here? What it does, it shows people that you are not in control. And that's okay that you're not in control, but you know what? God is. God is in control. And when we complain, it's basically saying God ain't in control either. And that is so far from the truth. He is in control. And when we complain, it's an insult. It's saying, God, I'm not in control. You don't have control of this. And and we know that God is able to do the impossible. When was the last time God did the impossible for you? Think on it. Something you thought never would happen, but it did. And then here we are complaining. Look at God's track record. Look at his resume. He can be depended on. He can be counted upon. Just surrender it. Give it over to him. That burden has become too heavy for you. Give it to him. That's his business at that point. Talk to him about it and let him know what your desire is, but don't complain. Be thankful. Now, and my next point is that if you're not willing to make a change, then don't complain. Don't complain about the things you're not willing to change. Have you ever heard a person do that? They come to you, they're just talking about it. And then, but you never see them come up with how they're going to change the situation. If you do that, I'm saying to you, don't complain about the things you're not willing to change. Because when you do that, nobody wants to hear you. because they know that you're wasting their time, you're draining their energy, and you're stressing them out because they know that you're not going to change. You're not going to do anything. And you don't want to be that type of person. At the end of the day, God is in control, and we've just got to trust him and give that thing over to him. And knowing that all things will work together for our good at the right time, at the right moment. We should just be seeking God for the strategy, for the plan, and making sure that we have become or finding out who we have to become to change the situation, to possess the thing it is that we are desiring about our dissatisfaction with that particular situation. All right. I hope that quick, fast, and straight from the hip talk is helping you. It has helped me. It has basically refreshed my commitment to not complain, and me to be, being sensitive to paying attention to whether or not I'm complaining, because it's so easy to do, isn't it? It's so easy. And if we're not consciously aware or sensitive to it, we will find ourselves doing it. And so this week, I want to challenge you to reject or resist the temptation to complain. Instead, talk to God about the strategy and the plan to make the change. All right. That's my time. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. If you did, please like, share, comment, tell others about it. DM me about how it helped you in some way. And until the next episode, have a wonderful week.